Reset. Hey guys, welcome to Almost Agreement. Screwed up the intro last time I did it, so I'm just going to start over. Do it again. We're Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can go to our website, almostagreement.com. Check us out there. All the episodes are available, or your favorite podcast provider. While you're at any of those podcast providers, go ahead, give a like, share, review. Tell your friends about us, that kind of stuff. The 4th Creek Beerfest first inaugural event is coming up July 10th. You should check that out. It's 2 p.m. on the 10th of July. It's 126 South North Shore Drive. The best beer that KUB Water can make will be there. So if you're interested in trying some of the beers from around town that you may not have had the opportunity to try yet from our local brewers, that's a good place to explore some of the beers that are Knoxville local. So that's what I got going on. Had a reach out from a listener that I want to talk about right off the bat, and then we'll go from there and see what happens from there. So, like I said, we're Almost Agreement. Check us out. Here we go. Oh, also, I've been drinking all day. Did I say that yet? I said it the first time I fucked it up. Anyway, I've been drinking since like 4, so I'm pretty hammered. So anyway, yeah, I got Max over the phone and Sam in the room with me. AC's got a job or something like a loser. So Jennifer Owen, who's on School Board, messaged me today on Facebook and said, "Hey, listening to that episode you guys did last week, we were talking about the Andrew Johnson building and all that kind of stuff going on." She's like, "I just wanted to pass along a couple details that you kind of missed." I was like, "Cool." And so she says, "The TVA towers are actually connected. It's one building." And it is still federal property. So this county, Knox County, sold the AJ building to this developer for a ridiculously low sum of $6 million. And so that Knox County schools, as well as UT, could rent TVA towers from the federal building. And the really fucked up part is that Max, you and I, if we want to go down and pitch a fit at the school board in their offices, we have to have real ID to do it.
Or a passport.
Right. Well, which is fine for you because you already have yours because you're like a world traveler and all that kind of bullshit. But for me, who's like, why am I going to get a real ID? I never fly. What's the point? Well, now I have to pitch a fit about some bullshit at the schools, and I want to go to the school board's offices. I'm going to have a real ID. So thanks to Jennifer Owen for pointing some of those details out for us.
Mucho apreciado.
But I pitch a fit about renting the building. It's like 36 cents a square foot, which most stuff downtown is $15 a square foot. So we're getting it cheap as fuck. But that's against the building that we owned. So I don't know what the details financially comparatively are, but as far as renting property downtown for office space, you can't get any cheaper than what the school board's in. So anyway, wanted to get that out.
Why does the school board need space downtown?
Well, that's what we talked about last week is like, why would you put it in an expensive property rental wise? But I don't think you could go anywhere in town and get 36 cents. I mean, I don't think you can do anything in the county as an office building for 36 cents a square foot.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's because me and you are on the same page, Max, for sure. Because that's what I mean, that is exactly what I said last week. It's like, why do we feel the need to have this downtown on some of the most expensive property in Knoxville? Why do we feel the need to have these things down in the middle of town? Like, I get that it's geographically centered, but population-wise, it's not in the middle. That kind of stuff. But, new details come out, and it's like, okay, never mind. We should wear out that TVA building at 36 cents a square foot. Do it. Put more things in there. Put a whole elementary school, downtown Knoxville Elementary School, inside the TVA building.
No, at that price, sublease it and pay the whole entire school building.
Ooh.
But,
yeah, good secondary answer. I'm sure there's something, because it's still federal property.
I wonder how much it was for the STEM Academy to open up in the old L&N building.
It's a good question, yeah.
Because nobody was there. Well, no, there was a little butcher shop down the bottom for a while.
Yeah, there wasn't much, though, for sure.
Right.
But anyway, that's I wanted to appreciate that. So, Jennifer Owen, thanks for some more details on that. Because she pitched a fit and she wrote a letter and she shared that on her website or in her sub-site inside the school board site about how she had significant concerns about the real ID problem. And that somebody at TVA told him, it's like, no, we don't do that or whatever. And then she emailed Homeland, and Homeland's like, well, if they don't require ID to get into the building, then that's not going to change anything, real ID or not. But if it's a facility that requires ID, starting whenever the real ID thing kicks in, which got pushed back because of COVID too.
Right.
I think.
And so, but starting whenever it officially starts from real ID rules, if the building IDs now, it IDs and the real ID is the only thing that counts for a federal building.
Yippee skippy.
I mean, I think it's fucked up. Apparently, the state district attorney had to chime in on the legalities of it because there's something in the bylaws about the school board being able to. Let me look up the word she said.
Be accessible to general public.
Yeah, something. It was control and custody. And since it's federal property, the Knox County does not have control or custody because the federal government has control and custody of the property.
Right.
And so the state district attorney had to at least put out a public opinion on it. Not that that fucking means anything until somebody sues something about it. So I'm not going to get my real ID. I'm going to go down there for an interview for the show. And then I'm going to sue him and be like, this is bullshit.
Here's my press pass.
You should. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand the real ID thing on top of. Max, you got yours. What is that? Did you get yours?
No, I don't. I got a passport. I don't need real ID.
I don't really understand what it is. Like, basically, I don't understand what the real ID is against what a current state-issued driver's license or state-issued ID is. Because it's the same fucking thing. It's the same office. You go do the same paperwork.
You have to give them. There's a couple more pieces of paper you have to give them, more than what you just get them to get a driver's license. But it's them.
Blood sample.
No, it's like
Sperm
I think you
sample.
Need,
it was only for flying.
For
yeah.
driver's license, birth certificate, social security card, and like a piece of mail or something like that. But for the real ID, you need, I don't know. I mean, something else. Your driver's license, a birth certificate, and I don't know. But there's a couple more pieces of something you need.
All right. TN.gov. Proof of U.S. citizenship, proof of your social security number, 2 proofs of residency for your real ID. You should also be prepared to provide documentation of any name changes that may have occurred. This may require presentation of multiple documents. So it's the same. It's the same amount of paperwork as a regular ID. It's just
There's the click on what is or why real ID.
Where's that?
Right there in the white header.
Why real ID? Beginning May 3rd, 2023, you must have a real ID, compliant credential, passport, or other TSA approved alternative form of identification to board commercial flights. Okay. The Real ID Act of 2005 establishes minimum security standards for license issuance and production. These standards provide additional level of security to protect your identity. So it's for you. It's for me and you. It's not for them. I don't get it. So the requirements don't change. Is there a cost difference?
No idea.
A real ID, driver's license, or identification credential is not required for any other reason than to allow you to continue to fly domestically within the United States and access certain federal facilities, including TVA towers and Knox County schools. You're not required to get one. The decision to get one is completely up to you. The only reason you need it is to fly or go into a federal building. So when I filed my bankruptcy a couple of years ago and I had to go to the federal courthouse, I couldn't go to my bankruptcy hearing because I didn't have a real ID.
Can you Skype in?
I'm just saying, I'm not required to have it to exist. I'm not required to have it to file bankruptcy, but I'm required to have it to go to court for my hearing because my bankruptcy hearing is in the federal building. Because this is somehow, what does it say? It protects my security as a citizen.
So what happens if you get like federal charges? You have to go to court.
I mean,
you don't have a.
I don't know. That's I don't know. You get an additional charge. I'm sure.
Just don't mention it to them. They'll
They don't let you in.
They'll
and then
just
you're
hold you in the federal building until your court date.
Or they don't let you in, and you're in contempt of court, and that's the second an additional charge.
If someone go in there and tell them I'm standing outside, it's not that I don't want to be here.
Failure to appear, something like that. Yeah.
Be a good question for our county,
Law director?
no, public defender.
Oh, yeah, we did. I do need to email him and try to get back on because the law director told me to fuck off.
Yeah.
Dick.
It does fuck off. Yeah.
Buckhead.
Yeah. But got Gloria Johnson on Monday with no help from AC whatsoever. Really, I picked a fight on Facebook, apparently. And somebody told me I should talk to her about my question. And tagged her in the, hey, you should talk to @Gloria Johnson. And Gloria Johnson says, yeah, sure, give me a call. Here's my number. So that was that. How many months has AC been promising me to get me Gloria Johnson?
A few.
And I pick a fight about racial issues in the state legislature. And boom, done it.
She says, call me.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I did. I was like, hey. I mean, I don't know. That sucks is that we now have a topic that I have to stick to at least for the majority of it.
I doubt that's all she wants to talk about.
That's true. I mean, she seems pretty legit in the two instances now that I've had commune with her. But, so like, okay, so backstory on it. I put I posted a question to the Speak group, which is the students, parents, educators, something of Knox County Facebook group, the one that doesn't like vouchers. And it's like, listen, I don't have a fucking clue what's going on with this law as far as not allowing to, because what was it, what was it, Sam? 2 or 3 episodes ago, we were talking about it. It was just me and you. And we were talking about it, and it's like, I can't understand, because the way the law is, at least the way they're discussing the law and the way we see it in the news is that, you can't teach anything that's going to make a white kid feel guilty for about something that his parents or grandparents or great-grandparents
different states are wording it different ways.
And it's like, well, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, because as we went back and forth, it was like, well, the only thing I can imagine is that a teacher's up there in front of the class teaching Civil War history saying, your great-grandparents did this, you're an asshole because they did this.
And not so many words, right?
I mean, they're not going to say asshole because it's a school setting, but it's your fault for being a white kid.
How do you even interpret that as...
How else does the law make sense that you can't teach something that's going to make somebody feel guilty about what their family did if you're not teaching it in a way that says this is your fault?
How do you think teachers are teaching it and pointing fingers at anyone?
I don't fucking know, but my point is that if the law is in place...
Well, the words that you are saying is implying that the teachers are saying that to the children. No,
the conversation about what is actually happening legally is implying that the teachers are saying this, not me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what bothers me about it, is because that's the implication. The implication is that there are teachers, right. Not my implication, but the implication set forth by the media and the discussion of what's going on, what went on in the State House, was that teachers are telling kids that it's their fault because they're white kids.
It's just rhetoric.
I understand that. And so the question I put up to this Facebook group was like, what the fuck actually is going to change in the classroom from this new law going into effect? Just like every other major hot button issue that we've discussed that's gone on in the state level, fucking nothing. Nothing. There's no teacher that's teaching anything any different than what we remember it as.
Right.
And so nothing changes. This is another one of those, like, according to Stephen...
Just an erroneous law.
According to Mr. Stephen Michael Rogers, who is the admin of the group who accepted it, and we went back and forth, and it ended up being a stupid thread because everybody was arguing about CRT, this, that, and the other, instead of answering my question, because my question was, who would like to come on the show and help me understand what CRT is, critical race theory, sorry, and explain to me what's going to change because of this new law that went into effect. That was my question. And then it went into CRT's bullshit and other things of like, oh, it's important, but we don't teach it, but, it influences this, that, and the other. And according to Stephen, apparently, it opens the door to a teacher teaching a lesson plan and a parent getting pissy and the teacher catching the brunt of a mad parent.
All right.
Because it's going to kind of be in that gray area of what this law makes exist.
Well, the wording in some state laws, where teachers could be fined or fired for... It's basically putting teachers on their tiptoes of like being not really sure what the hell they can even say for fear of pissing somebody off.
Which is dumb.
Yeah, because teachers get all sorts of questions from kids all the time. Especially after, like major events whatsoever. I'm sure after like Sandy Hook, I'm sure they were, young kids that were asking their teachers what does all this mean, Mrs. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so?
Yeah, my
A
sister.
lot of person they don't want to ask their parents about, and they trust the teacher because that's who they learn a lot of their shit from.
Right. My sister was telling me that they had at her school. She teaches in Fort Collins. That they had an accident outside the school. Two brothers got hit by a car crossing the street on their way to school. One died. The other one got hurt real bad, but he ended up being okay or whatever. But yeah, like that whole conversation about what the fuck's going on from all the kids and the kids trying to process this because it was right out in front of the school, right at drop off. Everybody was coming and going. There was a lot of people saw it and stuff like that. So I agree with you. I was just just what you said reminded me of that, and I was like, holy shit, that's fucked up. But
so it's just another long list of things that we kind of expect, or teachers do, that we don't really realize what they're doing.
I don't want my teacher trying to deal with some specific whatever. I mean, that one, I guess, I don't know, as far as a kid getting hit in the parking lot or whatever, but I mean, I mean, other than, we have security and that's not something that's going to happen here because we have safety measures in place. That would be as much as I would want a teacher to talk about.
That's what most teachers
on
do.
a Sandy Hook style issue, but
and try to comfort and reassure.
I mean, I agree. It's like, it's funny. It cracks me up in a weird way, in the sense that, like, I don't know exactly, like, it's one of those, I don't know how to exactly to address as a parent, but like both of mine, they say dark skin, like they don't say black kids ever, like the black kid in the classroom or whatever. They say dark skin or brown skin, and it's like, okay. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's just like it's weird to my ear, and maybe that's the thing, is what the reality is. Maybe that's normal in the classroom. Maybe that's how they talk there. It's just like, but it's a black kid. Okay, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It just, it's a descriptor. It doesn't mean anything about the person other than visually. But it's always like, it always strikes me when, like we were watching something on TV and it was like, oh, it's the dark skinned guy that was doing the thing, like Black Panther or something like that. It's like, okay, it's just weird to my ear. I'm not saying it's bad or good. It's weird to my ear. But anyway, what do you got, Max? How's the both motors running?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
That sucks. So, if you guys remember last time Max was on the show, he was on his way to get on his brother's boat again. Did you fix the doohickey awning thing?
Bimini, yeah, we did the Bimini. Came out real nice. And then we went out sailing. We got about an hour from our port, and the port side engine started messing up. And so we pulled over into another port and got a mechanic out, and basically he blew his head gaskets and something else. So we had to limp back to where he has the boat stationed at on one engine. And
is it not a sailboat? Does it not have a sail? Could you not sail back?
It's a sailboat, but it's not a tiny sailboat. So one thing you have to do when you sail is, you need wind. Obviously, two, you need a direction of wind. Like if the wind was straight behind us, you could kind of sail down, but stopping for like drawbridges and getting through the drawbridge when they open up. If the wind's coming straight for you, you have to zigzag. So sailing is great when you're in open water, but when you're a 48-foot sailboat, 26 feet wide and 72 tall mast, you can't really maneuver down a river very well, making sure you're staying in the channel.
Right.
You need to be out in the ocean. So you need the engines to get out to the ocean. And once you're out there, you don't need engines again. So can't get out there.
Right.
So we've kind of just been hanging on the dock. We'll take his little dinghy, his small little boat, and we'll cruise down the river and dock right at the. If you've ever been to Wilmington, they got a little cool little area right by the river, and we just park the little dinghy over there and walk around, or get in the car and go to a beach or something, which I had a great time on beaches because there's 2 beaches you can actually drive down if you have 4-wheel drive.
Nice.
Here in Wilmington, well, Carolina Beach and Fort something. But it's so much nicer just to drive down the beach and then just park it.
I remember that when we lived in Florida, we'd go to Daytona Beach, and you could drive down to Daytona Beach.
Yeah, no, this is like soft sand. Like,
ooh, Daytona's
yeah,
not.
like
Daytona's all that packed in.
No, this is very soft. Like, if I didn't see a bunch of cars and Jeeps and everybody driving down it, I probably would have got like 10 feet and went, this is really soft. I'm not going down here. But, just put it in 4 low and take it slow. But, I mean, it was deep sand. And then you just go along and then find a place where you want to stop and park your car, pull out your chairs. Your cooler can still sit in your car. You're not hauling shit like when you go to the beach. You're like, I need to make 14 trips or have a wagon or something. So it's so nice to be at a beach and have all your shit right there. And then you want to leave. You're like, all right, let's load up. Let's go.
Right. That's what about my dad is like when we go do our beach trip. If we're renting a house, it is on the beach, not near the beach, not on the island that the beach is located on. It is on the beach.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll pay twice as much, whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to go and have to take 5 trips, or it's like one of those, like, well, if I have to pee, whatever, I'll go in the ocean. No big deal. But if I have to poop, I don't want to have to hit a public bathroom that's somewhere near the entrance or whatever, or
you got to go find this person that has the beach access route,
right, or
to open the gate,
right, or trek back to the house, wherever that rental house is or whatever, to take a dump. And so that's always nice too. But summer. We did a cookout today. I did a Boston butt on the smoker today.
Ooh.
It's my first attempt at it. Little chunky. It didn't shred as well as I was hoping it would.
How long did you cook it for?
9 hours.
Did you marinate it?
Well, that's a good amount of time.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, so got it on this morning, and the recipe I looked at said 180 for 3 hours, and then kick it up to 250 for the next 3. And that second 3 hours, you're trying to get to an internal temp of 160. And then it was wrap it in foil or something like that. Anyway, so once I put the thermometer in and I was paying attention to the internal temperature, it jacked up real quick, and it got to that 160 like way sooner than the second 3 hour block that it was telling it should. And so instead of kicking it up to 250, I only went up to like 200. But then it would not get over, like, once the internal got to like 180, and then it stopped. And it would not get over 180. And so, like, the last hour I had it at like 300, and it got to like right at like 195. And by that point, everybody was like, I'm starving. And so, like, the recipe said, wrap it in towels, put it in a cooler, and let it sit for an hour. And it was not there was no waiting at that point. Like, I couldn't hold the eaters off any longer, and so I ended up having to shred it. Trying to like hand shred it, then it just wouldn't fall apart that well.
Didn't let it rest.
Yeah, I didn't give it the rest time it needed. So essentially, like the fat and the tendons and all the whatever the non-meat tissue that was in there, it didn't quite get hot enough for that stuff to start breaking down. And that's on me. It's first time I've done that particular cut.
Yeah, just cook it longer. It'll eventually break down.
Smaller butt. I don't know. I've never tried to cook a butt.
Yeah, big old weird bone, that hip bone or whatever. It's a funky looking bone. But yeah, so yeah, like I should have just followed the recipe instead of trying to be creative, or not creative, but thinking about the internal temperature getting hot fast or hotter fast. I should have just let it continue to get up to where it was, and let it get to that internal like 205 that it was asking for. And even if I was 2 hours ahead of schedule at that point, just crank it back down and let it sit and smoke for another hour, even though it's not really getting hotter. But anyway, live and learn. Do it again. It's still tasty. It's just a little denser and less tender than I've had other barbecue before. So
the ones that are the master barbecuers you eat from.
Yeah, buddies and cookout and their barbecue that comes all shredded, gross. Theirs is like machine shredded. It's not like pull apart shredded.
Is it?
Yeah. It's gross.
So what do you think about this building in Miami falling?
It's weird. I don't really follow. I like it. It's one of those that just like it happened and I was like, what? Like it's like I don't know.
I think I read,
Did they say it was a sinkhole? What, I mean, have I heard?
I've not heard a cause yet.
I thought I read something today that there was somebody that inspected, I want to say like the foundation or something, or the footers or something back in like 2018 or 2019, and recommended that something needed to be done, and nothing was ever done. I think some of the families have already started to sue either the builder or the condominium.
Yeah. The
And I think they've almost evacuated some building that's next to it.
right. It apparently has a sister building, same exact building, built at the same exact time, like a block away or whatever.
I think they were having issues today. I don't know. I guess something in the rubble, but there was almost like a fire, I guess, in the rubble.
And it's been raining on and
Kind of
off.
like a deep fire or something.
Yeah, it's been raining on and off, which is making it really hard for them to clear out and for the rescue teams to do what they do. Apparently, some high-ranking, I think Spanish, like Spain governmental officials' family was in it.
Oh wow!
And so, it's Miami, so it's international anyway. But
Right.
there are some specifically international issues with this event. But I don't know. Like I don't know. It's odd. I don't know how to causal. Like I haven't heard enough on it on the causal parts yet.
Yeah, it was kind of odd. It was just one half of it.
Yeah. I mean, shit breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's okay and they should have done something about it if they knew better, but shit breaks.
So there's conspiracy people haven't came out and been like, "There's no way a building falls like that."
Airplane fuel only burns at 2,500 degrees. Who said anything about an airplane?
A Spanish person was going to release a bunch of papers on Joe Biden.
John McAfee.
God, did you see all right, so this is what little I've caught of this coverage is, did you see his comments on it or whatever? I don't know how else to explain it.
No.
He was
I was thinking about him like whispering at some news conference.
no, he was at a news conference for something else, and he took a moment during the news conference to acknowledge that this tragedy had happened. What's the it's not Miami, what's the
Fort Lauderdale?
no
You mean where it is? It's like Sun Beach or Sun, I don't know.
Just put Miami.
No, that's not it. He was at something else. He was sitting down. I'm trying to find the video because he was sitting down when he was talking, and it was rough. Like it was real rough.
Right. The
Which
one
one?
you just passed by looked like he was sitting down.
Which one? This one?
No. Oh, never mind.
All right. Well, I'll pick one just because.
Had the most amazing family
Fuck you,
vacation.
Verbo.
This is so exciting.
I've spoken with, coincidentally, the mayor of Miami-Dade was in my office yesterday. And I talked to her today, not about that, obviously. And so I had a long discussion with her today. I've also spoken with, we've been in contact with the Congresswoman, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who has that district. We've gotten in touch with FEMA. They're ready to go. The governor
No, this
is
isn't
going
the
to
one
have
I'm
to.
talking
We
about, 'cause
can't.
this one he's way more
They're down
coherent.
inspecting of what they think is needed.
The one
But I'm waiting for.
the one I saw was, I mean, he was doing. He was doing a sit down talk about something else and took a moment, which I appreciate that he took a moment, regardless of what he was doing, to acknowledge a tragedy or whatever. But it was just like, it was just rough. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know, the way Max likes to describe Biden all the time. That kind of rough. But anyway,
I just speak truth.
I mean, I've never been the one to disagree with you. Like there's been, so far so mostly coherent for most of the time, but there are definitely times where it's like, holy shit, bro, it's rough. Anyway, what else is going on? AJ Building. They came up to they've school boards gotten their new memorandum of agreement with the city and the county on policing.
It still had to go to the city.
Right. Both commission and council have to vote to approve it or whatever. But essentially, it's the same as it was last year. So nothing fucking changed.
I was reading someone on the county was pushing back on it. So they were like, it doesn't have to pass the county. It's the city that has to have the approval.
Yeah, because as far as I understand it, I guess it's two separate ones, so it's only the city does, because there's an agreement with the sheriff's office, and the county would have input on that, but the one that's in play right now is the agreement with the police department, which the city has control on.
Maybe mixing it up with a different story.
Biggs put out a letter. That was a good one. Did you see that one?
The what?
Justin Biggs, he put out a letter basically asking, I guess it was asking the city not to pass KUB's proposal for their broadband service.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that's the one that's interesting. And I'm not exactly sure why Biggs is asking the city to do it, because I thought the county had a chance to do it too.
He was saying he thought there should be more county, or I think he wanted to give them an extra month to get more public input on it.
Well, I mean, basically,
KUB, the spokesperson from KUB was basically it doesn't have to pass the county council. It just goes to city council.
Yeah, basically, it's
apparently they've already been talking with politicians for months anyway. So I think it was kind of why are you bringing this up right now when we're getting ready to vote on it at the end of July or something?
Right, which doesn't seem out of character for him to play that strongly politically, or for lack of a better word. But I mean, basically, his letter's look, KUB is asking for a bunch of $1 million in state, local, and federal grant money to expand their broadband service, and I think it's a 9% rate increase for electrical users over the next 10 years, so that they could pay to put all the infrastructure in place to provide broadband service, where, at least according to the letter that he wrote, 98% of the locations that they plan to have broadband available already has at least one, if not two or three options already available in internet service through the private sector. Because I know Comcast came in and said, hey, if you're giving away free money for us to do what we already do, we'll take it too, which I don't blame Comcast for at all. Said, hey, you want more broadband out there and you're going to pay for the infrastructure part of it? Yeah, we're in. We'll take it. We'll do it. Why are you giving it to KUB?
Assuming it's national company versus city company.
None of it. What?
Comcast is national. KUB is city.
Right, but KUB is also a utility, and so they are supposed to be under the purview of utilities, not because, again, that I guess the number 1A here is, are we defining internet as a utility? No.
I mean, how many national companies are asking cities for money?
I guarantee you Comcast and AT&T and all them have had all sorts of subsidies over the years.
To put in fiber optic lines and cable lines and stuff?
Maybe not specifically fiber optic lines, but sure. I mean, if nothing else, they have a subsidy with poles that are already up. They don't have to pay to put poles up. They just have to pay a fee to add to a pole that exists.
Right, to the utility companies.
Okay. I'm saying, I get why I understand Comcast's pitch is saying, well, if you're giving money away for the job that we already do, we'll take that money and expand what we're already doing, which makes more sense to me.
Why would we be subsidizing KUB to even get in the broadband business?
Well, the argument is, especially in the more rural areas, which we are not, generally speaking, is that a Comcast or an AT&T is not putting high-speed internet out into, the far corners of Loudoun County.
Right. That's been a complaint for most of the major companies.
Right, and so you put it.
You see those commercials get gig speed. And,
right, but that doesn't, but for the sake of our conversation locally, KUB is not really part of that conversation. KUB is not. I'm sure there are a handful of places that KUB provides electrical that there's not and high-speed internet option through Comcast or AT&T or one of them. I'm sure there's a handful in the county, but probably not many. And I'm sure it's literally a money question for Comcast to say.
I think that's also KUB's pitch as well. Just giving, they're saying they're going to be able to offer it lower, which would then increase competition.
Maybe, but one of the things that I took away from one of the meetings that I was watching and some of the reporting on it was that KUB wants this because they're going to use the fiber optic line they lay as part of their control systems. And so it advances their ability to track usage and all that kind of stuff for electrical, water, and gas by having this fiber optic in ground, because they'll use those lines as their control systems. And so it's really subsidizing their auxiliary to what they already do, plus adding high-speed internet capability for certain places that don't already have it. But according to
KUB called me within 24 hours that my stupid roommate left the water trickling on the water faucet. It was an automated message, but they detected it within 24 hours.
Okay.
So, and that was a water meter.
Right, but you're also, what, a mile from downtown Knoxville?
More than that, yeah. I guess I'm technically still in downtown Knoxville within city limits.
I'm just saying, you're in...
But it's also in a very old neighborhood.
Okay, but... Okay, anyway. I don't know why you brought that up, and then I don't know why I question why you brought that up. What is
you're saying they're laying these fiber optic lines so they can keep better track of it. I'm saying they're already able to do that.
Okay.
So I don't know why you think that this is giving.
But did we pay for? Did we as a taxpayer, or did we as a community pay for their ability to do that?
I'm sure they
probably, because
sure
we're ratepayers.
Yeah.
We're all ratepayers, right? I don't know. That's the question to me. Is that there's no questions, there's no argument, there's nothing we could do about it. But everything else KUB does, there is no other option. There is an option here. There are options here. In some places there aren't. But for the most part, there are options here. So what are we really doing is my question. What is really the point of this? Is the point of this, like you said, is to add competition to the pool, to try to push Comcast and AT&T to either provide better service to make it worth the money that they charge, or to make it cheaper on their end? Is that really the point? Because that's not the point of the grants that are set up. The points of the grants that are set up is to make it more accessible to more people. So lowering prices doesn't necessarily make it more accessible to more people.
Well, if they get that grant, the first thing they do is not going to go out to places that people that don't have high-speed internet. They're going to go to the more dense area and try to sell high-speed internet to people that already have it and work their way out of town. And those people that don't have internet now will be the last people that probably get it.
Perhaps. I don't know if that's part of the conversation, is whether it's a requirement that they do start at the fringes and work their way back in. But again, it doesn't. I mean, to me, it does. To go way back in is it. I think Comcast or AT&T has just as much a right to at least bid on the, for lack of a better word, bid's not the right word because they're not paying, but has at least a right to submit their use
proposal.
Right, very, very, very good. Their proposal to say, hey, if you're giving money away for a project to get done, we do high-speed internet. That's what we do. I mean, really anymore, Comcast doesn't do anything else but high-speed internet. That's what we do. Why don't you give it to us? Because we already have a huge network in place. We can just expand it out to these places that are missing. Why don't you subsidize our work instead of theirs?
They do cable.
Huh?
They do cable.
Right, which provides the internet. What are you talking about, cable? Like TV?
Yes.
Who has fucking cable TV anymore?
People.
Losers.
People.
I'm just saying, that's not... it's the same line. For all intents and purposes, the actual physical thing that they run to your house for cable TV or internet is the same thing.
Right.
And so I'm down with the idea of them saying, hold on a second, don't just give it to KUB automatically because they're a utility provider. Why don't you give it to us? I'm down with that premise, at least having the conversation about it.
No, doesn't make sense to me.
Why? Because we trust the utility that is KUB, because they're so honest and upright and proper and well oversighted.
I'm pretty sure they've used their own money to lay their own fiber optic cables and then pass that along to their customers, but they have more customers to spread that shit out.
KUB does?
No, Comcast and AT&T.
Okay.
Okay.
But the point of the grant is to get it out there where it doesn't exist,
Okay.
to get people accessible that doesn't exist.
All right.
So,
Which Comcast and
I'm trying to think. Okay,
doesn't
so
have an incentive to do that.
Max, help me out. Let's think of an example of a different industry on how to go about this. If I were to say I want to get fresh fruit and vegetables to people in metropolitan areas, really, really dense downtown areas, am I going to go to KUB for that, or am I going to go to a grocery company or a farmer?
Are you asking me or just float?
No, I'm saying, like, legitimately, am I going to go to a person that already exists in that realm of the universe, or am I going to go to somebody random like KUB?
Why do you consider KUB random?
Because they don't do internet. They don't do it.
It's got to the point where internet is essentially a utility for anyone.
I agree in the principle it is, but it is
Okay.
not something that they do currently. So of things that KUB owns that run to my house, none of
AT&T
them
does internet. Has done internet forever. Comcast has done internet forever.
You're right, exactly. But of the things that KUB owns that run to my house, how many of those have data to them? 0. They run power to my house. I don't even have gas available here. But if they did, I would get gas from them. And I get water from them. None of those things transfer data.
Okay.
So they're not a data company. They don't do data.
Okay.
So Comcast, AT&T, they do data. So if I'm going to expand data, I'm going to go to a data company and be like, hey, we need to expand this to other places. As a government, I want you to expand this to certain places, and I'll help you out to cover the cost because I know it's more than you want to spend to go out there to bumfuckery to get that guy internet at his house. I'm not going to go to, again, to be my overly obscure, stupid example, I'm not going to go to KUB to get tomatoes in Market Square. I'm going to go to Granger County and people that farm tomatoes and say, hey, how do we get tomatoes down here? It seems logical to me to do it that way, not to just bring a company that doesn't do that in. Now, I understand that KUB has lines and they have all these things out in place, even though they're not data, but they already have infrastructure in place that they can add on this to the top of, but they're still adding
That's
on
part
the top
of
of.
it because there's always been, what was it, like WoW? There's a bunch of companies that have tried to come in and haven't been able to last whatsoever. I'm assuming it's just they can't compete with Comcast and AT&T
Right, and probably-
anywhere in Knoxville.
And probably KUB doesn't have any incentive to give them any help as far as using any of the infrastructure that KUB owns either. My point is, KUB does not do data. Why would you bring in a...
Okay.
Max, help me out. Am I crazy? He's giving me the head shake like I'm stupid.
No, I mean, they
I
don't.
just don't know why you're yelling about it.
Why
You're
doesn't
super
KUB
excited about
own
something that's not really that big of a deal.
I mean, I don't know. I guess to me it is a little bit bigger of a deal because it's one of those, it's those assumptions, and we're throwing it into a utility company that in personal history to me doesn't have a very good track record.
How much have you looked into it to be so fucking pissed off?
I mean, okay, so 9%, a 9% rate increase over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. I forgot. Excuse me, 3 years. I believe it's 3
I thought
years.
you said 10 at first.
No, it's like some multi-million dollars over 10 years,
Oh, okay.
with a 9% rate increase over 3 to help cover it, plus whatever grant money they're getting to help pay for the expansion,
Gotcha.
or not expansions, but the creation of this unit, for lack of a better word. I'm paying 9%. I get a 9%. I don't have a fucking choice. I don't have to. Their shit can be available to me or not. It doesn't matter. I'm paying 9% more over the next couple of years for my power. Has nothing to do with fucking internet. But I'm paying 9% more for my power because they want to add internet to their service system.
That's your privilege of having power.
Right. Exactly.
Would you rather go up to Max's neck of the woods, pay what he's paying?
For water, don't want to do that.
I mean, you're so a different utility that sucks at their job is the example of how good KUB is at theirs.
I'm just saying it's a fact of life at the moment.
I don't.
I agree with you that it's fucked up that you only have one source to get your power or water from where you live. It'd be awesome if there was more, but like you said,
Right,
it's
but why
a
are we
whole
going to attach a
infrastructure
different
thing.
service to that doesn't need to be attached to that? I understand the principle and the idea. I understand the idea that internet is a utility at this point. Like everybody needs to have that to function in the world that we live in now. I understand that. but that is one example that we don't need to utilize it in the same sense that we do power. Like, I understand the principles of why we grant as a community a monopoly to KUB for power service, because we can't have 15 different companies running lines and 15 different companies doing all the different things that a KUB does. It would tear up the roads. We'd be under some sort of construction all the time. Couldn't drive up and down the roads. I understand why that part exists.
Well, maybe then they'd actually fix the fucking roads.
Do it?
Maybe then they'd actually fix the fucking roads.
That's a fair point. They'd be so dug up all the time that Anyway, I understand that part for water, electricity, and wastewater. But internet is not on that part of the list, because it doesn't need to be that way for internet. We have private companies that are already doing it that may not be willing to, for financial reasons, to expand it to certain places, but that you could nudge with some financial incentive to get them to go out there.
How so?
At the end of the day, we're talking, I understand internet is, or, we can say it's a utility, but, it's just like everybody that needs a car to get around, the majority of people, right? But not everyone needs to drive Mercedes. Everyone has internet. There's a way to get internet at where everybody lives. But we're talking about high speed, right?
Right.
So that's not a necessity. That's a luxury.
I don't know. I'll push back a little bit. I think high speed as compared to, would be the first question, and pull my AC out for a second. We need to define what high speed means, but good, consistent, quick, for lack of a better word, internet, I think is a requirement of life at this point.
You're a baby. You have to have internet to live. You have to have high speed internet to live.
Functionally, sure. To do the different things that I do on a day to day, sure.
No, it's a luxury for you, but not things you have to do.
At some point, if it wasn't on my phone through the data parts or the different stuff that I have to do on a day to day, I need to be able to do. I need email for work that is not at a central location, whether it's through my phone or at my home. For both my jobs.
Yeah. But if your high speed internet got cut off at your house, you'd be able to do anything else you can do, because you have a phone. You can get your email on your phone. You can do. High speed internet is a luxury.
You go to the public library.
I need higher speed internet to do my streams when I try to do a live stream. It is pushing everything I got when I live stream somebody on our Facebook page. Or on our YouTube page. Come Monday when I have Miss Johnson here, it is a serious issue, because I've got to try to get the kids to stay quiet without being on their tablets, because I can't have them taking bandwidth. It's like, how do I get the kids to shut up for 2 hours while I do an interview without being on their gaming systems that are online?
I will tell you, KUB putting high-speed internet is not going to solve any of those problems for you.
I agree, and that's why I'm at least going to say that I think it's worth looking in discussion-wise of some of the companies that actually do broadband service. If the point is to expand the service for the people that don't have it, I would lean on companies that already do it more than having a company start from scratch.
No, I agree with you. But I just disagree that people have to have high-speed internet. Defining, not going down the AC rabbit hole of define what high-speed internet is, but to try to do emails and stuff for a job search and get on whatever job search thing you're doing, go into the county webpage or the city webpage for job openings and those positions and stuff like that. To try, there's
society is going more and more.
We are a digital people at this point.
I remember years ago when I was trying to do apply for jobs, and it's like, oh, you just need to apply online.
How just
I'm like, you don't have a piece of paper I can fill this shit out?
How did you guys file your unemployment last year?
Well, so I have high-speed internet at my house. The only reason I have high-speed internet is for watching Hulu, Amazon, all that stuff.
You baby.
I don't have a laptop in my house. Everything I do.
Right. It's because it's a luxury for you because you don't work, period. Because you don't do work. Because you're
I have to do a lot of stuff through my phone.
You are the definition of the white oppressor. I don't fucking know. I'm still on the CRT thing. I apologize.
You're drunk.
I am drunk. I told you from the get-go. I've been drinking since like 4 this afternoon.
You did preface.
But for more normal people that you're not, using the internet for work, for day-to-day activities, more than just watching Hulu or Netflix, is needed. And especially when you get into the more rural and the world we live in now. I mean, hell, like you get way out in the fucking boonies.
Satellite's your only option.
You know, where you're trying to order Amazon or, you know, do some sort of shopping for things that aren't available because you're way out in the fucking boondocks and the best you have is a Walmart. And I don't know what you do for a living way out there in your farm in the corner of nowhere where, you know, there's no store anymore because they've all gone out of business for one reason or the other. And you have to go
day trading. That's what they're doing out there in the boonies.
What's that?
High speed day trading.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other separate debacle. Yes. I heard a stat. It was from Sagar. There's Crystal Ball and Sagar. Have you guys ever heard of those guys?
Nope.
They used to have a show on the Hill. They've recently left it and they've started their own company or whatever. But they're a pretty good source as far as like what's going on national news wise. Because they're two kind of core philosophy of politics. They're kind of on the opposite end of the spectrums. But at the end of the day, they're breaking it down and more logically. They're not a Fox News or a CNN where it's all one way or the other. They kind of go down the middle and go back and forth and are a lot more honest about what this action actually means. But anyway, Sagar was talking about Obama saw during Obama's term was the largest loss in black wealth and home ownership during Obama's terms, during Obama's presidency, whatever you want to call it. I was like, I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't realize that. It was just one of those stats I'd never heard before. Because Obama inherited the housing crisis.
Great Recession.
He came in on the heels of, he was elected during the beginnings of the housing crisis. And so some of it wasn't necessarily his fault, but, you know, he sat over the bailout of the big banks and their actions causing the housing crisis. But let, you know, all of us little people suffer. Not me. I ended up dodging it for the most part. But it's pretty crazy. Anyway.
So I was, you know how, man, I wish the situation when I was sitting around the boat, you know, on the interweb.
Which side of the moon were you looking at?
Yeah, I don't know. Flat Earth side. So Snopes is like what everyone goes, Snopes, if Snopes says that it's true, you can't believe them anymore.
Anymore?
They're damn liars. Huh?
Anymore? Like you say that like it's new. Is it new?
What?
I was not a big fan of Snopes for like we talked about this like 6-8 months ago.
No, I thought you guys were like the Snopes people.
I mean, I've used Snopes, but it's always like, I mean, to me Snopes is the AC of internet fact checkers. Like they're gonna take it and they're gonna break it down and they're gonna be very, very like ultra specific and say, well, we find this report to be false, but that's because they use the word dog inaccurately. It's like, well, dog.
Well, I can't remember the situation, what it was. It was something, and I was like, then I started Google searching. And there was like a forum and stuff, and someone's like, "Oh, they've already Snopes this. This is false." Blah blah blah. And then so I was like, so I went to Snopes, and it was like says that this was false, and I was like, that's weird. So I started reading some more, and then I went back to that forum where people were talking about it, and then someone says, this is the page for that company. And so I went to their direct page, and like that page for that company said that all that stuff was true, that they're doing. I wish I remembered what the situation was, but like Snopes was saying it was false, it was urban legend. But if you went to the company's webpage, it was true. And I was like, how is this so far wrong that like somebody with minor Googling could have found out the truth on this? But
because
they said it was false.
because Snopes was mad that they dangled a participle. Like
Because
that,
what?
I like Snopes. Like to me, in my opinion, Snopes is super, super, super literal about any of the wordings and stuff like that. And so if you, if whatever their particular is, they're gonna call it false because they used a phrase wrong or whatever or something like that in their analyses, as opposed to it being a false statement. So like, this story implies X, and it's like, well, but that's not what the story says. But Snopes says it's false because the implication that the story is saying, it's like, well, the implication is what's the word I'm looking for here? Interpretable, like lawyers. Like you could interpret what the implication of the story is, and Snopes interprets it as false. Well, it's like, well, but that's the implication that you're interpreting, not what the story says. The story can list facts, but the implication means X, and if Snopes thinks that X is false, then they say it's false. It's like, well, but they're all facts. Yeah, but it implies something that's false. Okay. What does that mean? That's where I've had struggle. My struggle with Snopes has been in the past. Is that it?
No, this was something like straightforward. Like, I can't remember close to what it was, but let's say, I will make something up. Bill Gates funded Moderna, and then people are like, "Oh, Bill Gates doesn't have anything to do with Moderna." And then Snopes is like, "Bill Gates has nothing to do with Moderna." And then goes on this long thing. These are internet, blah, blah, blah. Then you go to Moderna's website, and they're like,
thanks, Bill Gates, for the 50,000.
Primary contributor to, funding. And I'm like, that's on their site. That's a fake thing I just made up. But it was something like that. I'm like, how can we be this wrong about this situation?
Well, Bill Gates is trying to float.
You have to do digging or exaggerating or, bending reality to make. It's weird.
Well, like Bill Gates or at least was trying and it stopped, but he was trying to float gold particles in the atmosphere to shade the sun. Facts.
What?
Yeah.
That's true.
He was the top donor to an organization that was researching, basically a giant sunshade for the Earth.
It would have been a big tax write-off.
And the idea was that they would float particles in the atmosphere that would reflect 20% of the sun's rays or something like that, and that would counteract global warming. And that being aside, a little bit crazy or whatever, but that aside, the weirder question in that, if you think about it for a second, is that this is an individual who's got a fuck ton of money, and good on him for having a fuck ton of money, but it's an individual who can. Like, are we okay with that as a thing? Like, if the studies showed that it worked and he decided he wanted to shade us from the sun, that he can do that?
And then what about the people that want like the sun? Like, no.
I don't think that's a decision he can make on his own now.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was some guy in Greenland that's like, I finally have land I can farm on.
Actual land. The Greenland is
No, don't freeze it back up.
There's an interesting story about Bezos. I guess they auctioned off. It's like Bezos, his brother, and they auctioned off another seat to do a space flight or whatever.
Yeah.
But they can't find like any insurance company, I guess, to cover them on insurance. Which they also, I think it was Reuters I was watching that was talking about.
Why would you need insurance if you're that fucking
that
rich?
even like NASA can't get, like the NASA astronauts can get life insurance, but they don't have, I guess it's liability or there's some other kind of insurance that even NASA astronauts don't get offered.
Okay, so a little bit off topic.
I'm with Seth on this. Why would you need insurance? Like, hey, you want the seat to the moon? Sign a waiver.
Right, because that's one of the things, like, because again, my Rogan junkiness or whatever, because Rogan's like mentioned car insurance just in passing, like they haven't had a big conversation about anything. It's like, Joe Rogan just signed a $100 million contract with Spotify for his podcast. But he's required by law to have insurance on his cars. Why? I understand the law part of it, but why if I have $10 million in the bank, why would I carry insurance to drive? I don't need to carry insurance to drive.
You might get sued.
Right, but if I but if I get sued, I could pay it. Why do I need insurance to pay it for me?
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like it don't make any sense.
Like I need homeowners insurance for my house.
Tennessee is a state law that you have to have car insurance.
Right, but why? So that the point, the law is that you have to have insurance so that if you get in an accident, like if I hit you in an accident, I'm required to have insurance so that if I hit you, that you can at least get back to a net zero of the day before it happened.
Okay, sounds like you've already answered your question.
If I have $100 million in the fucking bank, I don't need an insurance company to pay that for me. I can pay that. So
if we just assume like anybody gets a car accident, as long as you're rich, doesn't matter.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm not saying there's no liability in it. I'm just saying I don't need a fucking insurance company to cover my liability.
Okay. Rich people should get a pass on everything.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You're rich, you can bypass laws. It sounds like that's what you're trying to imply. You're giving one specific case of...
If you're rich, I don't need a fucking insurance company to pay my fucking bills for me. I can pay them myself.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm not liable for the actions that I've done as a driver. I'm just saying I don't need an insurance. Why do I need insurance when I can just pay it?
Here's a better one. I own State Farm Insurance Company, but I'm required to purchase insurance for the car I drive. When my business I'm going to be the one paying out that claim anyway. Why would I have to have insurance on my car when I am the insurance company?
That's a good functional example. Better functional example than mine, but same idea. The point of liability insurance and why you're required by law to have it is so that if I hit you, you should not be out anything by the actions that I made.
I understand the function of insurance.
Right.
Yes.
But the insurance company comes in and they pay you. They buy you a new car, or they pay to get your car fixed, and they pay you for time that you miss work, and they pay your medical bills and shit like that.
Right, but usually when there's a dispute, it ends up going to court, which is why most people's like liability and what can pays out goes up to like $100,000, $200,000, depending on what coverage level that you want.
Right, but I got $100 million. You can sue me all you want. I can pay it. Doesn't matter. That's my point. Doesn't like
we're having to sue you as an individual versus having to sue an insurance company.
Right, but I have more money than the insurance company has at this point. You're better off suing me directly than you are the insurance company because there's no maxes and all that other kind of bullshit. Because
maybe maybe not.
I think it's a weird thing. It's not an important thing. It's just a weird thing.
It sounded like you were making it really important, and I'm like, why are you pushing back?
I think it's weird. I think it's stupid. I think it doesn't make sense.
No, I still go with my gut reason. Like, sure, yeah.
Because the government said so.
Rich people, well, not because the government says so.
Then why?
It prevents people from, because if you're allowed to not have insurance, what makes Joe Schmo? He's like, well, Joe Rogan doesn't have insurance. I shouldn't have to have insurance either.
Right, but then
should we just have a set amount that you have to then not have to buy insurance?
Because
if you make $200K or more a year, then you don't have to have insurance.
Well, if you don't carry insurance, then you are personally liable instead of your insurance company.
I mean, in your scenario, you would have to set some kind of threshold if you want to make it
right to go through the legal
more
standard
broad.
that already exists.
Well, just make it more broad in the public.
If I don't have insurance, whether I'm rich or not, I'm on the hook for the actions that I do.
Oh, you're a movie star, you don't have to have insurance.
If I again going back to the car example, if I hit you and I have no money and no insurance, I'm still liable for the action I did. I just don't have a company that's backing me up.
I mean, even with most like rich people, they don't have a stack of $100 of bills just sitting in the bank somewhere. It's usually like in kind of electronic means only, or in shares in certain things.
$10,000 in cash at the accident site. No,
I'm not saying you pay out money right then and there, but most of your money is tied up in with most business people, they have shares in whatever company they work for and stocks and all this other bullshit.
So that does remind me of a little bit of a non sequitur. Max, the way that Elon Musk makes money is he takes loans against his businesses. And that's how he makes money to spend. He has no actual money.
Huh.
And that's how he doesn't pay taxes, because he doesn't generate an income as the owner of the company.
Damn, he's got a smart account.
He takes
Like,
he
Elon,
takes
you don't have any
shares,
money.
and the shares gain value and stuff like that. And so as his shares gain value, he has an asset to loan against. And so he takes loans. And so and this is a sub-separate issue of the problem with the Federal Reserve, is that interest rates are so low on a loan, it is cheaper for him to take a loan against his property, being his shares in his own stocks and stuff like that, than it is to pay taxes on his income if he just took his income. And then the company pays off the loan, and then it's a write-off.
What happened to more money, more problems?
No, I mean, that is, you have to pay somebody to figure all this shit out. But essentially what he does is like, so
He's paying him a lot less than what he's making.
he has $1 billion in shares available to him, right? That he owns those shares.
All right.
He goes to the bank, he takes a loan against $1 billion for $100 million, so he can go spend, just, carry money, just to go down to Vegas and hang out for a little while. And then the company pays the loan off.
Just blow up some Teslas on the
I mean,
range just for the fun of it.
He sent a fucking car to the fucking Mars. He is that type. I mean, he strapped a Tesla to the side of his rocket that went to Mars.
Did it already make it there?
It's past it. It flew by. It was a recon kind of mission, I think. I don't think it was trying to land.
Oh.
But he put.
Well, hey, I got to run, guys.
All right, man.
See yous.
Be careful. We'll see you in a couple days.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, later. Yeah, he strapped a Tesla to the side of that rocket. Do you not watch any of that footage?
No, I don't remember
They
hearing
live
about
streamed
this.
it on YouTube until it got into weird signal break.
That's just the weirdest. I mean, I guess that rocket already cost, probably $50 billion or $50 million or whatever. Strapping a $100,000 car to it isn't really losing much.
Yeah, he put
I think you might as well make it land if you're gonna fucking send a car up there. You might as well I left a Tesla on Mars. You don't need to show this to me.
I do need to show it to you because you don't believe it.
I didn't say I didn't believe it. I just think it's fucking absurd.
No, you do. You do both. It's a 2-for-1, man. Yeah, like that is a real picture. Fucking Christ, give me the picture. That is a real picture of a Tesla with a dummy in a spacesuit, strapped to the side of the rocket, leaving Earth's atmosphere.
Earth looks really flat.
It is. It's totally flat.
I mean, I would say that's
So, yeah,
cool, but I don't think it's cool.
So it's.
I think it's just stupid. Whatever.
I think it's pretty fucking cool.
It's his
You know why I
money.
think it's cool? It's because you and I didn't fucking pay a nickel. We didn't make any money off of his expenditures. Again, that's the argument. I mean, that's to me, this kind of shit is the argument about why top end taxes don't make sense. Yes, it's a waste of money. Don't get me wrong. Whatever it costs to put that Tesla in space, you could have put into a school system. I agree. But how much did it take us to put the Apollo missions in place?
No idea.
But that came out of not my pocket. We weren't alive yet. But that came out of our parents and grandparents' pocket. This didn't cost us anything.
Is that your make it or break it?
I would say for the technology advance that's going on right now, as far as space industry goes, and the effects.
Because he would have been able to do that had NASA not had already been doing that.
No, I'm not discounting NASA's part of any of this.
He started from the ground and figured out how to put that bitch in space.
No, he didn't at all.
Oh no, okay. So taxpayers did
so,
in a roundabout way fund it. Yay or nay?
Wow. Okay. Sure.
Technically?
Fuck.
Huh?
You're-
Huh? Am I right or
You're
right?
right. You're
Okay,
right.
Okay.
And Jesus, really? That's the argument we're gonna do right now?
No, I'm just making a stupid valid point.
I don't know if it's a valid point. It's a point, and I'll acknowledge that, but I don't know if it's a valid point. Because that's going to say, what?
how much did it cost us? Even if we lived during the Apollo, how much did it cost us? If we were living during that time,
person to person.
Honestly, how much do you think it actually would have cost us?
I'd love to see a breakdown of it, to be honest, because I think it probably on a year-to-year basis, tax-wise.
I mean, look up NASA's budget versus the Defense Department's budget. I mean,
but in the '60s, those were the same budget.
No,
there was plenty of defense spending in space. Whether it went directly to NASA or to some sub kind of bullshit, it was the same space. It was the same animal. Interballistic continental missile, intercontinental ballistic missiles. Wow,
ICBMs. Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah,
intercontinental ballistic missiles
was a NASA project and a military project at the same time, and they crossed when they needed to, and budgets changed and money changed hands the way money changed hands on certain things. I would assume that a number of rockets that NASA developed were used by, I guess, what's that, the Air Force? Who runs the ICBM program for the Pentagon?
For a while, it was the Air Force. I think the Air Force finally took it over.
I would assume that plenty of NASA tech went into whatever Air Force intercontinental ballistic program missiles, and back and forth. So stuff that the missile program was developing for war stuff that was applicable went into NASA.
I'm sure the Defense Department was like, we don't really need it to go that far. Like, we need to come back down. Like, we don't need that shit to keep going. Like, you guys worry about that. We need to make sure it comes back down. Where we want it to come back down.
The Space Force on Netflix, did you watch it yet?
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It was hilarious.
And if the technology today, the technology that we have now was available full-on Cold War stuff, a gunfight on the moon would have happened. Probably not. Well, I don't know. That would have been a little bit too direct for Cold War. But
we don't have the capabilities to stay on the moon that long. Or back then, we did not have the
right. That's what I'm saying. If the technology of today was available back then, those things could have happened. Like, legitimately would have happened. Could have happened. Maybe not would have happened, because that would have been a direct, actual combat thing.
Yeah, I'm curious if they've done trajectory tests. I know there was one guy that took up a golf club and a ball and hit a golf ball on the moon.
I mean, I think it was like a sand wedge. You put like 300 yards on it. It's like, that ain't right. That ain't right at all. I'd like to hit a driver 100 yards consistently. I'd be excited about that.
I thought we used to do that.
I mean, a pro golfer, a 300-yard drive straight, exactly where you want it, is average.
Right. I'm saying I think you and I used to do 1,000 yards. Or 100 yards. Right?
Yeah. I got a 1,000-yard drive. Bitches.
Take off a 0.
I got a 1,000-yard drive. Anyway. I appreciate the idea that a private company is doing some high-end, next-level shit.
I would say he's also probably getting some tax subsidies and other incentives as well.
I know he's getting some help from NASA. I don't know how much he's paying for it and what the street value is. Of
what I mean with his company in general.
I mean, he ran out of California.
And whatever else he owns.
I mean, the Boring Company. That's my favorite. The Boring Company is who made the flamethrower.
Is he still working on the Hyperloop? I think so.
Well, he put that out to the public. He didn't keep the patent.
I thought he was building one like right outside of Chicago at some point. Maybe that was like the test facility.
There's an LA tunnel system that he's supposedly working on. Which that was a weird one when he was on Rogan the first time when he smoked weed and got in trouble. He's like, Rogan was like, so how does it work that you're gonna dig holes in the ground in, I don't know, the most tectonically active portion of the United States, and it's supposed to work? He's like, oh, once you're underground, it's not that big a deal. It's like, what? It's like, yeah, once
you don't feel the shakes as much.
Once you're 100 meters under the earth, the it's not that big a deal. Earthquakes, don't worry about it. Like, he's a weird dude. Rogan thinks he's an alien, like a legitimate alien.
I looked up once. I can't remember where he's from.
South Africa, I think.
It doesn't have that much of an accent. Like, it's definitely not like an American accent. But yeah, I always kind of wondered. I'm like, Elon. I'm like, what's the origin of that name?
It's weird. Yeah. Crazy dude. Crazy dude that we need. We need more dudes crazy like that.
I mean, he's definitely
I like his crazy. I'm scared of Amazon though. I don't like Bezos as much.
Just don't like bald people.
Yeah, among other things. Anyway, same episode of Rogan, Crystal Ball and Sager.
I saw a little bit of that one.
Were on, and they were talking about Amazon. So some of these other companies that are out there that do like delivery and they'll do the build, like you get an ottoman or whatever, and they'll come out, deliver it, and build it, put it wherever it belongs. Yeah, please grab me one of those. Yeah, there's water in the fucking cooler, bro. No, I don't want a Mountain Dew. I want a beer. Jeez. I mean, this episode is not brought to you by Mountain Dew. Anyway, so like assembly project, an assembly thing. Give me one of the black ones. That's a wheat beer. Give me one of the black cans. Yeah. That's the one you gave me is a session. It's a super light, like it's a 4%er. I'm too drunk to drink 4%ers. Anyway, what was I talking about? Crystal Ball and Saga were talking about. Oh, Amazon is they're trying to like some of the things that like a Sears used to do, and some of the other companies used to do, and some of the companies currently are doing is like a bed frame. You order a bed frame from a company, they'll come to your house.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, they'll
deliver it. They'll
and
assemble
put it
and deliver it. And so Amazon's trying to add that to their services. But so Amazon in their super efficiency model, they put like everything that they have has that, like in the description on Amazon's end, this is a king size bed frame. This is how many pieces are in it. This is how long it takes to assemble. And so Crystal Ball was talking about it on that episode. She said it was a 59-piece ottoman. That was 31 minutes to assemble a 2-man team. So you're in the Amazon truck. You have a box in the back that has a 59-piece IKEA-looking ottoman. You're to go in somebody's house. And this is literally from the second the van stops. So you stop the van in front of the house. You have 31 minutes to assemble a 59-piece ottoman in the room that the homeowner tells you to put it in. And I'm thinking like, it's 15 minutes for me to tell you where to put it.
takes you 5 just to get everything out of the box and out of all the little plastic bags that are zip sealed shut. And like, which bag is this? Okay, A4. Okay.
Yeah, the wrenches.
Where's that little tool that came with it?
It's
the only thing that fits it because it's not metric or standard.
Yeah, the random tool that comes with it and all the bolts and screws and all that kind of shit. Yeah. Amazon's scary. Like, it's starting to get scary in what it does. And apparently delivery drivers like peeing in bottles and shitting in bags because they don't have time to find a toilet because the way the computer tells them how long it's supposed to take them from get to A to B. None of that stuff's designed in. Like these 10 gajillion square foot warehouses where you get a 30-minute lunch break because you're required by law, but you clock out at your station. It takes you 15 minutes to walk to the break room. 15 minutes to walk back. You have a 10-second lunch break. It's fucking scary. And they're doing it. So Amazon sucks, but I'm going to keep buying shit from them.
So I say it's kind of that common argument of they're only doing what we're asking them to do.
Right. As a customer, they're kicking ass for me and you, the customer. And at what point do you and I, the customer, go? Because like Crystal Ball put it best. Like if there was a checkbox that said, "I'll pay an extra 10% for the employees that have to deal with this to have a job that's less shitty," I would check that box. I think a lot of people would check that box. But how do you do that in a grand marketing scheme? How do you make a competitor to Amazon where your whole pitch is we do everything Amazon does, exactly like Amazon does, except our employees don't want to kill themselves?
And it's more expensive.
Right. Like, I mean, literally, like you do it exactly like, item for item, all the way down the board. It's exactly like Amazon. Everything's a 10% price increase. And the only thing you're selling is our customers or our employees don't want to kill themselves. That's why you should buy from us. It's a good sales pitch. I would do it. I would buy it. I just don't know how you put that out in a marketing sense.
I mean, talk to the organic and free range people that market that stuff.
Yeah, well, a lot of that
farm
shit
to
gets
table
really
stuff.
fucked up and skewed
I agree.
too, because
But people are willing to pay more when they think that it's organic and farm to table and hormone free and
yeah, but a
blah,
lot of
blah,
that
blah.
shit, like a lot of that shit's like that weird. Like this is an AC conversation if I've ever fucking heard one in my life. What is the definition of X when you're talking about going to Whole Foods? Is like free range,
cruelty free.
right? All those different fucking phrases they use that sound great are very specifically defined terms that nobody knows what they are.
Was I telling you about the? It was the. I guess it's like the sequel to Super Size Me with Morgan Spurlock. Did I tell you about that? He started his own chicken fast food place, but he actually bought his own. Bought a flock of chickens, bought a chicken farm, and actually found out the ins and outs of what he needed to do to be considered organic and hormone free and blah blah blah, and the whole free range was. Pretty sure it was fucking ridiculous. He had one of those, the giant warehouses that they had, and it was this small, little kind of opening door, and it was probably at most 10 square feet. That kind of went a little bit to the outside, and that's was
Technically,
considered
definition
of open range. Yeah,
All right. Well, I don't know. Here, we got the Googles. Let's see what's got.
it was really interesting. They ended up
Those are
doing.
minus betting. I didn't mean to do that. Sportsbook.
Ooh.
So-
They opened up his own restaurant, and it was hilarious. All around the inside of this fast food restaurant, and he had all these drawings up and all this stuff that looked all cool, but actually read the wording of it. It was all just kind of poking shit at the actual industry of it, and actually got people to hey, we want to open up more of these to try to inform the public of he literally had fried. They didn't call it fried. What were they calling it? Crispy. It was crispy chicken. It wasn't fried chicken because it was chicken breast sandwiches, chicken fillet sandwiches.
Right. But
then they actually had powdered grill things to make it look like there was grill marks. And,
right, which McDonald's does that move. Free range and pasture range officially defined by the HFAC for certified humane label. There's currently no legal definition for free range or pasture range in the United States. Therefore, these terms are often used on poultry packaging with no unilateral definitions for consumers to trust.
Right. Some of them just kind of make up a company Organic Growers of America, and it's not really an accredited
Right, so
association or anything.
The USDA's standard definition for free range is that birds must have air quotes or quote outdoor access or access to the outdoors. In some cases, this can mean access only through a pop hole with no full body access to the outdoors and no minimum space requirement, like you said.
Yeah.
They literally can go outside for, according to this definition.
They got a window they can see outside.
No, not they have to be able to stick their head out, not their whole body, but their head out.
Right.
Pasture range requirement is 1,000 birds per 2.5 acres, or 108 square feet per bird, and the fields must be rotated. All right, I like pasture race, so free range is not good enough for me anymore.
Start looking at that.
You gotta step it up. Again, that's one of those things that's and as much as I'm a market guy and I like economics and I like capitalism for the most part, this is some of the dirty parts of capitalism in action. Nobody defined this thing. If you want to get real gross in it, you go down the supplements.
Hey, I almost brought that up.
Jesus, they get crazy.
And that's where I've seen where they've almost made up kind of these companies, not really made up, but they kind of, even start their own or find one company that does it. It's
right.
I'll credit it by the...
Right. I am Seth's, I've created Seth's vitamin line, right? And so I'm selling my vitamins, and I also created, I didn't tell you that it's me too, but I also created SB's purity standard.
All right.
And I made a cool label, and then, you know, so Seth's supplements are certified by SB's security or purity label.
Right.
And it's like, well, nobody knows what either one of those things mean.
And it really doesn't
But it
mean
looks
anything.
cool.
Yeah.
Right. And right. It's literally me certifying myself to say that I'm selling you a bottle of stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
so,
mean, you see, like, the diet pills and stuff like that. It's like, these statements have not been approved by the FDA. They put it in really, really fine print.
yeah, but I mean, but again, that's the assumption that the FDA is a standard that's worth keeping. Yeah, roll your eyes. It's fine. I mean, I'm just saying, it's like, what's the FDA standard for shit? Nothing. The FDA standards suck. I'm not saying that they couldn't be good and they couldn't have value, but they don't. And they suck at what they do. Like many governmental agencies, in my opinion. If they didn't suck at what they do, I wouldn't say these things. I'm not making shit up.
I mean, tell me an industry that doesn't fucking suck. I mean, everything has bounce. There's no perfect industry out there.
FDA is not
Everyone
an
has
industry.
their.
They're not an industry. They're an oversight.
I agree. They're not. an
They're
industry.
supposed to be oversight. They're supposed to be the ones that are keeping industry
Right.
on some sort of level, and they're not.
But at the
that
same time,
either.
they're playing catch up with the same companies that are making up all this bullshit, and they can't keep up with companies and umbrella companies that come up with shit left and right constantly. There's no way for them to test things that quickly. I'm not trying to defend them completely. They definitely got their fuck ups. I'm trying to remember. I remember learning in school there was, like the 60s or 70s, there was some kind of pill or supplement that ended up giving, I want to say, women a bunch of like miscarriages or like pregnancy issues that was like touted for years to be this great pill before it was finally figured out that it had a lot of crazy side effects and were causing a lot of issues.
FDA approved.
I don't remember if it was FDA approved or whatever. But
I mean, because again, there's plenty of those that in hindsight, which we didn't know any better,
right.
Which is fair, that were FDA approved. That
I mean, some of
turns
it's
out or
just
not.
a rush to get certain things to market that there wasn't, long-term studies
right,
on them.
which is why I haven't got the vaccine. It's not necessarily is that FDA? Yeah, that's FDA. They're FDA approved ish
Emergency authorization approved.
by the FDA.
Yeah.
They fall under the D in the FDA. All right, let's keep the Google train rolling.
I don't think they've been fully FDA approved yet.
There it is.
But
Is the Moderna vaccine FDA approved?
I beg of you. I don't know if you've been seeing what's going on with the Delta variant.
I've heard about it. I'm already dead, man. What's it matter?
That's true. You got insurance, right?
I mean, again, I'm running off the assumption, and I could do something about this, and maybe I should. I'm running the assumption that I've already had it.
Okay.
So, what's the difference in me
You think
already
that-
having it and the vaccine? So, the vaccine is better
Yes.
with antibodies than my actual body who's already beat it.
Yes.
How does that make sense?
It's just fact.
It's just fact.
Yeah.
I don't believe your just fact statement. Give me some evidence.
When we're off the air, Google it instead of wasting time.
Huh?
I said when we're off there, you can Google it.
Okay. I don't trust. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm crazy. It's fine.
I'm not saying you're crazy.
I'm already dead. Hey, boobies. Cool.
Because I'm pretty sure the FDA did just come out and they actually started putting in the disclaimer about heart inflammation with Moderna and Pfizer.
Moderna and Pfizer? I thought it was just the Johnson & Johnson one. All of them are fucked up now?
I think it was just Moderna and Pfizer.
Johnson & Johnson was the one with the blood clot one. That's right. My bad.
No, that was
the Jensen. The one that Max got.
I don't think that was blood clot.
It was like blood clot.
That was AstraZeneca. That was AstraZeneca.
Oh, yeah, well, they're foreign. They don't fucking count.
But I was reading
It's a separate
there's some
conspiracy
doctors
theory.
There's
part
some
of it.
doctors that have already started to recommend boosters for people that got the J&J because I guess they're discovering that it's not as protective against this new Delta variant.
So it all sucks. We're already dead. Okay. Like I said, well, I said this over a year ago that I've gone full fatalist on it. and I'm not changing my fucking tune.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
I don't know what else am I supposed to do.
Get the vaccine.
Why? I'm already dead. What's the point? Like, I really don't get it. It's really, if this thing's gonna fucking kill me, it's gonna kill me. There's obviously the vaccines aren't good enough because we gotta have new ones. We gotta have boosters. We gotta do this, that, and the other.
We don't have to have new ones.
We were just talking about there's a booster for the Jensen one already, or they're talking about wanting to have a booster for the Jensen one already.
They're talking about the possible need of it, but I mean they're saying that even the Moderna and Pfizer is still low 90s against the new variant, upper 80s, low 90s.
Okay.
To where at least you weren't going to be seriously hospitalized. You could still get it, but you're less likely to have major complications and have to be hospitalized.
Right. Which mathematically I'm already in that field percentage-wise anyway. Again, on the assumption I've already had it.
Exactly. You're going off an assumption that you've already had it.
Okay. Even if I didn't, but on the assumption that I've already had it, that I had it, I didn't even realize I had it, and went on with my life. I don't understand I don't understand the value of the vaccine. That's my problem with it. We have warnings now on them. We have one that got pulled off the market for like 3 days. One that we don't really trust because it's a foreign company.
They did it out of caution. So, I mean, give them credit for doing that out of caution. They're like, hey, we've had a few reports of this. Let's hold off a few days. Let us, get some more data. And it was off the market for like a week, I think.
Right. It's because, and I would have been fine anyway because I'm not a girl and I'm not on birth control.
I mean, I did the math, I think, a couple nights ago when I was reading about them adding the new warnings to it. It was literally like 0.00001% of the people that have received the vaccine have had slight issues of heart inflammation that were all been like treatable.
Right. So, again, on my health status and age bracket, it's less than 10% have had serious complications with it. Is my understanding. Could be wrong. Could get on the CDC site and get a little bit more detail on it. But my understanding is that persons in my age bracket and my general health status, less than 10% have had serious complications with having had it. Not the vaccine, but actually had the virus. So I'm going to get a vaccine.
Original variant, yeah.
I'm going to get a vaccine that gives me 90% coverage of what exactly? Not getting it or getting it and having less complications with it? Which I'm already likely to have very low complications with anyway.
It doesn't stop you from getting it. It's more about, just like the flu vaccine doesn't stop you from getting the flu.
It reduces the effects of having it.
Correct.
Which I'm already likely to not have very much effects from having it.
Going off your assumptions.
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's data-driven. I mean, without some sort of other comorbidity or whatever, my age bracket and general health status has not had a problem with this virus. So other than the premise of I don't want to carry it and spread it to other people that might be more susceptible, which is a valid reason to take precaution. I still wear my mask because I follow the guidelines or whatever. CDC says if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask in public. I'm not vaccinated, so I wear my mask in public. I'm okay with that, even though it's a whole scarlet letter thing, which is weird. But I don't. That's my problem with it. It's like, why am I getting into this where we're, I appreciate the miracle that is science that got us a vaccine this quick, but I'm in no rush to take it because the miracle that is already now plopping warnings on. Even though the percentages are low, we're now plopping warnings on, just like any medicine that comes out.
That's what I was about to say. Yes.
We're plopping warnings on for something that I don't think is going to kill me anyway. So what's the point? At this point, mathematically, I'm almost as likely to have a serious side effect to the vaccine than I am to have any serious effect from getting the virus itself. So why?
What? You think you would have a more severe side effect from the vaccine versus a side effect of actually catching the virus.
Mathematically,
Mathematically.
it's pretty close.
All right.
I'm less than 1% either way.
All right.
Am I wrong?
I don't have the numbers in front of me to even know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know what numbers you're looking at, so I'm not going to argue with you on it.
Okay. Well, then change the subject for me so we can go into something else, because if it stays in the air, we're going to go right back to it. So pick something else to argue about.
Trying to remember any other interesting stories I read recently. Oh, it was the president of Colombia was flying in a plane and apparently got shot at. I thought that was pretty fucking
What do you mean got
nuts.
shot at? By who?
I'm not sure if they
Like some
reported.
dude on the ground with a AK?
I'm
or
assuming he
like-
was flying either in or out of Colombia. I mean, it's got to be some kind of decent caliber weapon to actually like strike an airplane, because I don't think they fly that low.
Well, again, that's exactly where I went. It's like, what kind of plane? Whereabouts was he? And like, was it another plane? Was it some dude hanging out the window of a Cessna or something like that, throwing some rounds out, or was it some dude on the
I
ground?
think there was still just preliminary evidence on. I don't know if they know exactly who did it, because I mean, Colombia, South America, you're basically flying over a jungle. It's not like they could. It's not like they had, security people on the plane that they immediately opened up the window and had like paramilitary people jumping out of the plane to go track them down.
I mean, it's all
It's not like the Secret
it's all the
Service.
coca fields down there.
Yeah.
Some random dude growing cocaine.
Like, someone knows where our stash house is.
Don't look here.
Yeah. Like, oh shit, that's the president.
Oops. I'm trying to think. There was something else that I wanted to bring up, and I forgot about it now because all the different chatter.
All the heat waves going on.
Yeah.
Did you see the pictures of
I was
whatever the
watching
lake behind Hoover Dam is? I can't remember what it's called.
Mead.
Is that Lake Mead?
Mm-hmm.
See the pictures of it being like super low, or it was like the sun bleached rocks. They were like, this is the lowest that it's ever been.
I mean, it's been that way for a couple of years now. That it's been lower than normal.
Yeah, it's been progressively getting lower,
But-
in the past like 5 to 10 years. But
No, I saw that Oregon. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I guess it's one of those that Oregon track and field is where it's at in the collegiate track and field department. So they always do the U.S. team trials and shit there.
Huh.
And so I was watching on the TV earlier tonight some of the track trials for the Olympics was going on, and whoever was hosting or whatever was like, we got triple digit heat out here on the track, and it's all these different runners are running out in 100 degrees, and it's like literally 100 flat. It wasn't like 101 or 102. It was just 100 flat, but still fucking hot
heat index.
out there running. Yeah. But in Oregon, being that hot is a big deal apparently. So, I mean,
I'm trying to remember. There was some famous runner's name that was from Oregon. I think it's kind of like a track running school or marathon.
yeah, their
running school.
track program apparently is big. Well, the dude that owns Nike, or the dude that created Nike, is an Oregon alum. And so that's why they have all the crazy cool uniforms. That's why they're a big Nike, like all their stuff is Nike stuff. And so I think it's a 2-part thing. It's like their track team is good, but also their track team is supplied by Nike, by the guy that owns Nike being a super fan / alum. And so he wants his school to be great, but he also like uses Oregon as like a testing facility for product.
I'm not trying to go back in the code. Did you see that NC State had to forfeit their game to Vanderbilt
No.
for the College World Series?
No.
Apparently that put Vanderbilt into, I think it's the final, which is apparently
Yeah, they played Texas.
a 3-game series. Oh,
Yeah.
did Texas win the series?
Yeah, I think so.
So I guess that the semis is a 2-game series.
Well, it's a
I
double.
don't get this. What the fuck
it's-
is this like series and the?
it's
Well,
a-
I guess majors
it's
do
a
it too.
it's a double elimination tournament, and so it's a round robin. You play everybody. If you
Oh, is that okay? I was thinking they were playing like the same team
if
twice.
you lose
and I'm
twice, you lose.
I'm like, how do they do it if they've played the same team twice?
Right, and so you get bracketed, and if you win, you are fine. If you lose, you go into the loser bracket,
Was it Texas and Mississippi State? They were playing each other.
something like that.
I
But
really
it's
don't. I don't give a fuck about football or
Baseball.
baseball
baseball, sports,
or
I
football.
don't like sports.
I don't give
I
a
like
fuck about
hockey
football.
and soccer.
either.
Did you watch that Austria Italy game? Austria gave
No,
them a
I've been
run.
trying to randomly look at it. I don't know what the fuck channel this shit's been on.
Austria that was on CBS or AB. No, it was on ABC because of ESPN.
Was it?
That was on this afternoon.
We're down to the semis now.
No, they're in the round of. Yeah, they're in the round of 16. The first 2 games in the round of 16 were today.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've seen some of the highlights.
but apparently Austria is not very good and kind of snuck out of their group, and Italy is back in Italy form, and so for Vegas' sake, for betting's sake, it was like Italy's going to win this game. There's no question. And so the pre-show I was watching, they were talking about it, and it was like, is Italy going to shut this game out? That was the bet by the announcers, or not the announcers, but by the
They still have that
the
really
pre-show
old
crew.
goalie.
Do it?
They still have the really old goalie.
I don't think so.
Buffon. I think
But,
is his last name.
Yeah. Anyway, Austria ended up taking it. It was 94th minute. Italy scored, and then like a minute and a half later, full time. Like it was in injury time or whatever. Italy finally scored, so it ended up being 1-0 in the 94th minute, or 95th minute was the goal.
I watched highlights of one game. I guess they were apparently some of the critics or whatever have applauded the new VAR, the video review, and being able to, I guess, determine whether or not it's a penalty shot. There was one game where like twice they went to the VAR to decide whether or not it was going to be a penalty shot.
I'm not mad at it, but I'm mad at it. Like, it's one of those things. It's like, I see the value in it. I really do. But at the same time, it's like when baseball's the
I
worst.
think they almost have to, just because there's already cameras that are able, or that are broadcasting, and that are able to have like the different viewpoints and
Right, but that's the one thing about
show it
soccer,
to the
though.
rest of the world. And it's like,
But
shit, like the referees are like, fuck, like if we did get this wrong, like we should
that's
just
the one
step
thing
back
about
and be like, hey, let's double check this.
But that's the one thing about soccer that's different, is that the clock doesn't stop. There's no stoppage. So if you're watching a game on TV,
Oh, do they not? When they're doing the VAR?
I
too?
don't know if they do with the VAR part of it, but I'm just saying that you're watching a game on TV and something happens, the production crew is trying to figure out a spot to show the replay. Like, it's not like in football where you got 35 seconds before the next play goes to show the replay. It's not baseball where you got 5 fucking minutes before anything happens to show a replay. And so it's like, soccer's just such a continuous game that, that's the one thing about soccer is soccer never stops. You have 45 minutes plus or minus a couple, and then you have 45 minutes plus or minus a couple, and then if you have to go past that because of the tournament or whatever, then you go past that. But the clock doesn't stop. And so to stop a game that never stops by definition is a bummer to me.
Did you see the, I think was it the Copa America? That ended up being USA and Mexico in the final like a week or two ago.
I caught a little bit, but I saw what was happening. I didn't really catch much of the game.
I think that got decided by penalty kicks. It was
Really?
crazy. It was like right at the end of the game. Like they got a penalty kick, and then we got a penalty kick. They ended up like winning it. They ended up being like penalty kicks, I guess, that decided the game.
Team USA is getting better. I mean, they're actually a good team. It was a big fucking deal that they didn't make the World Cup last time.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that. How do you not get through the qualifiers? It's
I
like
was disappointed.
losing group, fine, but
I was
not
disappointed
get,
Iceland didn't make the Euros this year again.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the big Viking clap.
Oh. But yeah, I don't know. It's I mean, I'm excited. We got it's about a month away now, but we got Olympics coming up.
Hopefully.
What is there something? Delta's gonna shut down Japan again.
I know. I'm pretty sure they're not allowing foreign tourists.
Yeah, the
Or
fan
foreign-
and they're,
foreign
and they're
fans.
it's a reduced fan base or reduced fans in stadium kind of thing.
But I mean, I think they've pretty much been in a lockdown, kind of like off and on for the past few months.
We're already dead, people. Just deal with it. Live your life.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
We're all gonna die anyway.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Sound like hundreds of millions of people have died already.
Hundreds of millions more will die tomorrow too. I mean, how many people die a day in the world?
No idea.
All right, that's a Googleable question. I will put the Google effort on that. Google's weightlifting. There was a story about a trans woman
I did see
in the
that.
Olympics.
Yeah, he played in 2019 for the Japanese national team. It just came out.
No, that's not the one I was talking about. There's a lady, air quotes, powerlifter.
I think I did read that. Yeah. No, there was a soccer star that played on the Japanese national team that came out as trans.
Well, they suck at soccer, so it's not like it's that big a deal. I mean, they're not a great. I mean, I mean, it's one thing that Asia doesn't do.
I think Japanese team did well in the last World Cup. Can't remember. They've never been, a quote unquote powerhouse.
Well, world population from Worldometer is to. There's been
today is just going up and up and up.
It's 1 a.m. right now, so the day is 1 hour old, and there's 8,000 deaths already today.
Make that. We have to wait for a second. Almost 19.
Do it.
I thought I was moving faster, and I was like, we're almost up to 19. Oh, no, sorry, I'm looking at births.
Yeah, 8,000 deaths today. Yeah, births are pushing 20, so we're 2-1 births to deaths. But anyway, talk to yourself. I got to pee real bad.
I don't want to talk to myself.
Okay, well, then don't. So in 2017, the average deaths per day, according to the CDC in the United States, was 8,000 a day. 2020, 3.34 million total deaths in 2020. That's a 20% increase over 2019. So 8,800, 9,600. So under 10,000 per day. Average.
It's the average.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming this isn't a live count.
And this is U.S. Yeah, no, the other one was a live count, and it was too hard to keep up with.
Where the hell are they getting those numbers from?
The Worldometer. I mean, the
they made that
Worldometer is
work.
pretty fast. I mean,
Take that way and they had the world up.
the Worldometer, the current world population is 7,875,397,889. And now it's more than that.
Okay,
67 million births this year, 28 million deaths this year.
Population's still going up.
Yep.
Stop popping those babies out.
Not
ladies.
here in the States though. States is actually down. We are under a net zero in the States.
A lot of countries are
over the
running
last
into that. I know Japan's run into it.
Well, I mean, it's for me, or for us at least, is my understanding. It's like, why would you have kids? Like, I mean, I think the desire to have kids is down. Can't afford to have kids.
That's part of it, yeah.
I mean, the way the world works right now, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we got out with some student debt, but not a ton. Like, I can't imagine trying to go into the real world and be an adult right now that I haven't, in the world the way it sits right now. It's a mess. Oh, here's a fun one on the Worldometer. Holy shit. This year, there's 1,316,246 books published this year.
New books titles, yeah. TV sets
Nope,
sold.
247. There's one more in the time we were talking.
We're selling more cell phones and TVs. That's crazy.
Internet users in the world
Wait,
today.
aren't TVs cheaper than cell phones?
Yeah, they are. Internet users in the world today is only 5 billion. Well, take that back. I rescind the only part of my statement. 5 billion of 9 billion. So more than half of the world is on the internet right now.
Conversely, less than half of the world does not have internet access.
It's too bad they don't have a number for podcasts put out today. They should.
Not losing any forest. Oh, what? No, just
There's
all go
one.
up. Oh,
Yep.
shit.
CO2 emissions, desertification,
Overweight.
in hectares. Do you know what a hectare is?
Overweight people in the world just went up. I thought that was about to stay static.
Do you know what a hectare is?
A hectare?
Uh-huh.
I know it's a measurement of area.
Yeah, but do you know how?
The exact amount now. Is it a horizontal acre?
I think it's a 10 acres. I think is what it is. What's hecka? What's is that a preface or a prefix? Oh, this is a dumbass episode. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm drunk. I told you that from the get-go. People who died of hunger today.
No, one more just died of hunger.
1,652. I mean 3. Money spent on obesity-related diseases in the U.S. This is very U.S.
That is fucking cranking.
This one is very anti-U.S. though. Like, we're not talking about money spent on obesity-related diseases in
Did you click on like the U.S. tab?
Italy. No, it's worldometer.info. It doesn't give me a subset. Only 6 million communicable disease deaths this year.
I'm sure it's sponsored by a U.S.
Seasonal flus.
company.
Ooh, that's a weird. That's an awkward one.
Like a cigarette smoked a day.
20,671,670 abortions this year and running. Like, it's about an abortion a second
this year.
Yeah, it's about abortion. It's about 1 per second. Deaths of mothers during birth. Oh, this is a fun site. Look at those cigarette smokes. That one's running fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it is 1 a.m. on a Saturday.
Money spent on illegal drugs is cranking up.
Oh, who cares about illegal drugs?
That's moving almost as fast as cigarettes.
I don't buy that. Only 500,000 suicides this year? That can't be right. There's no fucking way. Worldwide? I don't buy it. All right, this whole website's full of shit.
It's sponsored by a painting company, or it's one of their main sponsors.
We're saying, like,
what is this? Worldometer?
Worldometers. I've heard the phrase before. Like, people have referenced it before. I mean, I believe there's 9 billion people in the world.
Scroll all the way to the bottom and see where they get this about.
From Amazon.
Click on the about.
Boom. Worldometer is run by an international team of developers, researchers, and volunteers with the goal of making world statistics available in a thought-provoking and time-relevant format to a wide audience around the world. It is published by a small and independent digital media company based in the United States. They have no political, governmental, or corporate affiliation. Furthermore, we have no investors, donors, grants, or backers of any type. We are completely independent and self-financed through automated programmatic advertising sold in real time on multiple ad exchanges.
That doesn't say that our data is trusted by the U.S. government.
Worldometer was voted as one of the best free reference websites by the American Library Association.
Library Association.
Oh, excuse me, Library Association. The oldest and largest library association in the world. Worldometer is provider of a global COVID-19 stats. Over 15 years, our statistics have been requested by and provided to the Oxford University Press, Willie Persons, CERN, whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Worldometer sucks. There's no way. I just don't buy the 500,000 suicides. That's way low.
Worldwide?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't say not worldwide. Everything else on there is worldwide unless specifically said otherwise.
You think it's way high? Way low?
I think that number is way low. I think there's way more than 500,000 deaths this year. Suicide deaths? I'd say there's more than that in the United States. Honestly. Let alone worldwide.
Should be something you could easily find. Anyway.
Not me. All right. Last call, I guess. What do you got? Give me something good. We got time. I'm not saying last call like we got to stop, but last call like last topic.
No, I read some other interesting stuff recently.
About what, pray tell?
Can't remember. I read all sorts of interesting stuff.
No.
I try to read some kind of news every day.
Well, isn't that smart of you? Hold on. Let's do it this way.
I try.
Do.
Oh, I did.
Oh, the root's real? That one?
Huh?
The root? The one that got me all pissed off
yeah,
about
we
GP?
talked about that.
Did we?
No, I'm here. No, I mean.
Oh, okay. Anyway, you said we'll go with your O, and I'll come back to mine.
Oh, I sent a text to you like last week about, was it Hawkins County, the sheriff that got probation? You know,
that was the cheating on the test thing.
Yeah, you never responded back if you thought that was more of like a slap on the wrist.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the test is. I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't have.
I thought it seemed like a very low penalty for what it was.
I mean, what was it? They cheated on a test.
He knowingly allowed them to cheat on the test.
Okay, but I mean, what was it like? What was the point? Like, what was the test?
Well, it was like a certification of them to be police officers.
Okay, and so again, this is good. This goes into my broader incentives thing that I struggle with. Is that
well, that was there was an incentive as well. It was like every
right
as
a
department
sheriff
got like $300. I think the department got $300 for every person that passed it.
plus he has a number of deputies that he is budgeted to have. So it's a double incentive for the sheriff. Not only some $300 bonus money or whatever, but if he can't staff, they're not going to give him the budget, even though he quote needs the budget for the numbers he has. He doesn't have the numbers, and so they're going to stop. So I don't know. Again, for 100 sheriffs, like he wants 100 deputies on staff, right? That's what he thinks he needs. That's what the county even agrees that he needs. Well, you can only hire 80. There's only so many years that they're going to set 20 employee salaries, 20 deputy salaries aside in the budget that he can't fill until they're going to start taking it out of his budget. So he has a double incentive to make sure that he is filling the roster so that he keeps his budget, and he gets a bonus cash influence from whatever, $300, whatever. I don't know if it's a slap on the wrist or not. I don't know if there's value in the certification for what they're talking about or not either. I don't know what the test is. I mean, if it's anything like the government test that I've taken in the past, it's probably not that big a fucking deal of a test. That's my efforts in government testing, and it may be different in the realm we're talking about, but the tests that I've taken that are government tests are jokes. So it's sad that it cheat on it, I guess. But does it change the quality of the individual on the street, deputy wise? I don't know, and that's where that's the only thing I'd push back on it. I mean, if all the shit I think it's a problem, and I think he shouldn't be elected as sheriff again, and that's a problem for the.
I think it was more like I guess like an answer key was semi-provided. Basically,
I'm just saying that's a problem, but I think the constituents of that county should.
Apparently, he's up for re-election, and
they should beat the shit out of him on the ballot. I mean,
he basically had like a 6-month suspension of not being like. Actually, I'm not even sure if he got kicked out of like being in active duty, basically having powers as a sheriff for any.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think
time.
I would hope that that's something the community would be like, okay, the value of the test or not, that's not cool. I mean, that's just a very lie kind of shady thing for you to do as a person.
That's kind of my thoughts on it. It's violating the public trust of someone in a high public status as a public official.
And the sad thing is likely the public doesn't fucking care, and that it's not going to make a difference come next election. I hope that's different, but.
Yeah, it didn't bar him from running. I guess he's up for re-election in December or whatever.
Like, think about it that way, too. Like, you think about how much I like to complain about WBAR or News Sentinel or WATE or whatever. And, we didn't talk about that. But, like, as much as I like to complain about those guys, imagine being in Hawkins or Roane or Hamlin County or one of those where you don't even get that. Or the same news that I complain about here about failing at local coverage. Is your only news source.
Yeah, is what's going on in Knoxville.
Right, is what's going on 2 counties, 3 counties over. That's rough. That sucks. Like, I would assume that 9 out of 10 people don't have a fucking clue. And just go about their lives and say, oh, dude's on the ballot again. He was great. I don't have any problems. All right, continue. We were on the news again.
I think some of those have like local newspapers, but
yeah, they do.
Newspapers are kind of falling to the wayside.
Right, what's left of newspapers, but we were on WATE this week, and she kind of fucked my context up a little bit. I'm not really mad about it. She's not wrong. That was the ESSER stuff. You familiar with the ESSER stuff?
Only what you've told me about it.
ESSER is some an acronym for whatever. It's basically COVID money that the federal government's put aside for local school districts on making up the time lost. How do we make up the time lost? And so the county put out a survey, and some reporter from WATE put out that she was looking for parents that want to talk about it. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And then, I went on there. They covered up our email or our website this time. And so I, as usual, I recorded it. And according to Sheriff Spangler, I have the right as a Tennessee resident, as long as one member of the conversation knows that it's being recorded, it doesn't matter that the other one does or not. So I have the entire conversation as well. I joked to Matt Shears about putting the entire conversation in the episode because she didn't take me out of contest. It's just she did, I was going on about it. It's like if we get it's $130 million is what we're getting, and it's like $130 million at the end of the day in a budget, in a $600 million budget or whatever it is the county schools have, is not that much money. And if we're talking about trying to catch kids up, we're only going to catch them up incrementally. So it's going to take years to catch them up. That $130 million is not going to last years of incremental catch up. And so the county's talking about longer school days, extending the school year, more summer programs, this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, if it's me and I don't have the obligation that the school district has to spend it on what the federal government says, that's where I paused, and this is where she started it on the actual news, is like, if it were me, I would be building new facilities because we have a one-time injection of cash. It's not going to last in the term of what it actually needs to, because this is going to be a 5-10 year. It's going to be 5 or 10 years of incremental makeup for these kids that missed the time. So let's get some schools built. Let's, we here at Rocky Hill have 5 buildings out in the backyard that aren't attached to the school, that are these weird little mobile building things. We had them when we were in school.
Yeah.
I think every Knox County school has these.
We called them portables, but
yeah, they weren't going anywhere, but they weren't solid either.
It's like, did these used to be motorhomes or mobile homes? Is that what we call them? Portables?
So that whole fucking debacle. It's like if it's a one-time injection of cash, we're not going to be able to hire, $133 million. We're not going to be able to hire an extra counselor for every school. Not that they're going to help a lot. Not that one counselor is going to help a lot per school, but that gives us 2 years maybe of an extra counselor per school. That's not much. That's not enough. It's not really going to do anything. So this money's, to me, the money's a joke. And that's what the whole conversation, that's what I was trying to say. This money's stupid. And the poor girl that's a reporter is stupid too, no offense. But, we get to the end of it, and I was like, you need to talk to, I just blanked out on his name. I don't know. We've had him on here 2 or 3 times. Anyway, the school board money guy. It's like, you need to talk to him. She's like, oh, is that like a parent or something? I was like, no, that's the fucking vice chancellor of the fucking school board. You're the reporter. I'm an idiot. What are you doing? I in the back of my head, I was laughing my ass off. It's like,
they don't know everybody in every single position just because they're a reporter.
Everybody in every single position, fine. But
maybe that's not her normal beat.
We have 3.
Maybe she doesn't normally cover schools.
We have 3 government agencies, and you don't know the top 2 of each of the 3. 6 people. That's too many to know. You're on a school story. You're on a story about the schools, and you don't know who you know who Bob Thomas is, but you don't know who his second in command is. Ron McPherson, as I blank out and make fun of people that don't know, but I know. You don't know who that guy is when you're going to run a story in the schools. You don't have somebody else in the office that knows that and says, hey, you're doing a school board story about money. This is who you need to talk to. I will agree with you 100% that maybe she didn't have a need to know that prior to this story, but that she didn't ask around the office and be like, hey, I got a school board story about money. Who do I need to talk to?
All right.
That nobody in that fucking office is like, you got to talk to Ron. Ron is the fucking guy. That is what Ron does. And in my experience, at least, Ron's pretty legit. He's going to be straight up about it. He's not going to be all weird, political or whatever. He's not an elected official or anything like that. He's got a job to do, and this is his job, and he's going to tell you the truth about it. He's a good interview. He's good to talk to. He's easy to talk to. He gives you good sound bites. He'd be a great story, but we're not going to take the time to ask around the office. We're just going to talk to parents because that's who we want to talk to, because parents have no fucking clue what's going on. And that's the point. And that was the point of her story, for that matter. She's like, well, you know, because like there's in the story that she ran, that she edited and put on there, she took 2 sound bites from me. It was me saying they should spend money on facilities, even though I told her before I said that I know they can't, because the ESSER money has to be COVID related, and a new building is not COVID related. But if it were me, I would be spending it on new facilities, because you're not going to do the programs that are going to take 4 or 5 years on this kind of money. There's not enough money. It's not enough money to do the programs that need to be done. So if you're going to take this one-time injection of cash, spend it on new buildings. And then the second soundbite was, fuck, what did she say? Fuck, I just lost it. School system shit. God damn it.
So ESSER's coming from the state or federal?
Federal. It was part of the second or third COVID relief package, whatever the fuck. And it's literally money to make up for lost time for the kids. God damn it! What was the second quote she put on me? Like it was 2 sentences that the whole story that were me, and it was one about the buildings. Oh, and the other one was they don't listen. And I was like, listen, I filled out my survey as requested. I got my email from Bob Thomas that said, hey, click this link and fill out the survey, and I filled it out. And the day they don't fucking care. Because I don't know it. I don't know what's in it. And that was the thing. Again, I wasn't misquoted. It was just poorly context.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm not saying that they don't care and they're not listening to me. It's that at the end of the day, I don't know the context of what we're actually talking about. What we're actually talking about is a huge amount of money that has a very specific allowed use. And as I said about the buildings part of it, it's like, if it's me, I'd spend it on buildings. But you can't, because the program says it has to be COVID-related direct makeup kind of bullshit.
Right.
And so
it's something that the states are running into right now with federal money to the states. They're saying, hey, you've got all this money. I guess some states are wanting to put it towards, not tax reimbursement, but all sorts of other things. And they're like, no, it needs to be COVID-related. They're like, well, you're giving us all this money, and then you're trying to say we can't spend it how we want to.
Right.
We want to spend it.
Yeah, and again, it's like I get it on both sides. It's like, I mean, it's money that doesn't exist, which is a whole separate set of issues to it. But, you know, I mean, it's their money. Theoretically, it's our money. Well, it's nobody's money. It just got created yesterday. But, you know, they're handing it out. They get to say what you do with it. I'm okay with that. You know, and if you do it creatively, you figure out a way to align that and take the budget money that's already there for the thing that you're replacing it with, and you then spend that other money other ways.
Right. It affected other states differently. Like a lot of states, some states weren't hit as hard as they thought they were going to be. You know, they kind of projected, you know, this huge loss in these different areas as far as, you know, tax revenue and blah, blah, blah.
Right. We were one of them for sure.
Yeah, and we ended up having like a surplus or whatever. Not necessarily a surplus. Do we end up with a surplus?
I don't know. Yeah, we have a surplus budget for sure, because the state had this special session called, which they changed the budget and reduced the fuck out of it, and it ended up being almost equal to the year before. But we went under that. And then, but the actual revenue generated was above the year before, but not above projections expected before the virus hit. So we were between the two.
Right.
Projections were 5, current was 2, and we hit a 3.5, something like that. Anyway, I don't know. Like, it was just like, that's one of the things that little story tidbit that I got on there for. Was just one of the really frustrating things, because it's very clear that the news side of it doesn't care about the reality of the story. There was a story she wanted to tell. The story she wanted to tell is that they put this survey out, and it's a lot of money. That's the story. That's all the story that they really wanted to tell. It wasn't that, you know, there's rules about how they can spend the money. It wasn't about, you know, how much money it actually is in the grand scheme of things. It was just that the federal government sending a bunch of money down. Parents are being asked about it. Here's how parents feel about it. It's like, well, not really. I'm one parent. There's one other parent that talked about it. And, you know, between the two of us, we had 4 things. about how we feel about it. But at the end of the day, how we feel about it doesn't fucking matter. And the reality of the thing is, like, you know, the school board's going to do what the school board does. But even more so, the problem is like, I don't understand it. And I'm deeper in than most.
Right.
And that's what the news should be doing, is trying to make it so that I'm not special in how deep I'm in. That I'm normal or subnormal for how actual shallow I am in reality. Is that, look guys, it's got to be COVID related stuff. It's got to be making up for the time lost. We can't build a new fucking building with this. It doesn't work. That doesn't fit the parameters of how it's set up. Right. But that's not what their goal is in the news story. The news story is, oh, we realize that, I don't know, 60, 70, 80, 100 and something thousand parents are getting emails right now. And we're going to run a story about what the email is that they got that they're probably not paying attention to.
I mean, not trying to defend it, but they do try that. I read on some of the other websites or news sites that I look at. Well, you're trying to pick like certain topics and do like, you know, this topic explained and try to break it down, but it is hard to do that for everything.
Right, and especially in a 2.5 minute segment. Right. They don't have time.
Right.
I mean, and again, and to give them a little bit of credit, it's not 100% their fault. They're trying to squeeze a lot of stuff in a little bit of time. But at the end of the day, there was no, like, again, no fault to the reporter specifically. Well, actually, maybe fault. I don't know whose fault it is. But it's a newsroom that's been around Knoxville for, I don't know how long WATE's been here. 100 years? 50 years? 80 years? As long as I've been in Knoxville, they've been here. So that's 25. So at least 25 years, this newsroom has been in Knoxville. And they don't know who the money guy is at Knox County Schools. And you're going to put a story out about Knox County School money. And some parent, me, is telling the reporter who the money guy is at Knox County Schools. And she doesn't know who the fuck I'm talking about. That's a problem. That's bad reporting. She might not know that, but she has a newsroom full of people that one of them should know that.
Right. And
that's stupid. And that's why they suck. That's good input. Anything else?
That's all for now.
Perfect. WATE sucks. I said it. I ain't scared. That's 2 times that I've been on there. And I've been smarter than the reporter asking questions to me about stuff. Anyway, almostagreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Almostagreement.com is the website. All the episodes are on there. If you prefer a podcast provider of some sort, we're on all of those too. While you're on any of those things, anything you can do, help us get the word out. Like I said, I've got Miss Gloria Johnson with No Help from AC coming on Monday. That's going to be live on our YouTube channel. Go there if you want to ask some questions during the show. I'll do my best to respond. It's going to be at 2 o'clock on Monday, the 28th of June. So if you got the time, sit in and watch that live. If not, just check us out the way you check us out. July 10th, 2 p.m. on 126 South North Shore Drive is the 4th Creek Brewers Festival. Go check that out. Go into Evac West there. Get your wristband. It's $20. All you can drink. Have a good time with it. It's the best beer KUB Water can make. And, it's local, so local's fun. Anyway, thanks everybody. Have a good night. Bye.